Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am in a different location. I'm not in front of my brick wall. I'm in front of the coffee place because I got a lot of a lot of boxes in front of the wall. Anyway, today we are talking about how I got my apartment, y'all. How I was blessed with this apartment that I love so much. So I have to take you guys back like 5 months ago. I have two cats. I don't know if you guys know that. Not something I would recommend, but so the old apartment that I was living in didn't allow pets, but it wasn't in the lease. So technically it was like it was a little gray area thing, whatever. So there was someone had called our building and told that I had pets. And so they came, the apartment people came to my building and they like checked out my apartment and everything, and there's like, okay, well there's no cats, there's no sign of cats, there's no smell of cats, like, but we got a complaint, and you know, we can't have that. So if we do see the cats again, you will be evicted. So I had been living in my apartment for 5 years, and I already had I was like up to here with them, up to here. It was just, I was just at my limit. So I'm be doing a lot of talking, so I had to get my little beat up cup, a reduced cup. Okay, so yeah, so they told me that I would be evicted. So at that point I started looking for an apartment because I didn't want to not have my cats, and they love being in the window, so that was how they were seen, because they were in the window. So what I did was started looking for an apartment, and I applied for the apartment that I'm in now, like not this very apartment, but this apartment complex. And I have been looking at this apartment complex for at least over a year before. At least over a year. I had applied before and I was put on the waiting list, and then I applied again. Well, the second time that I applied, I didn't get the apartment. I didn't get it, so I was just like, you know, okay, whatever. Like this is the apartment I wanted, like the brick wall, everything. I was so hyped, and I didn't get it, so I'm like, okay, you know, whatever. So I started to put in applications at other apartments because I was tired of my place. I couldn't keep my cats. I just didn't want to be there. So I got accepted at one apartment, and it was in my price range. I wasn't able to see the apartment beforehand because it wasn't ready. So I put down a deposit. I put down a non-refundable holding fee, and then I put down a deposit, and I like signed all the papers and stuff, and I was going there to pay the rent. And the day that I went down there was the day they were gonna like let me into the apartment. So I went to the apartment with my mom to look at it, and when we got into that apartment, y'all, so it said move-in ready when I applied, but they said it wasn't ready for me to see, so it was already sketchy. Okay, so we get to the apartment and we look in there, and as soon as I walk in, the first thing I see are like the cabinets are like hanging off the hinges. They're hanging off the hinges. They're peeling. The inside of the cabinets are peeling. It's like gross. It's not a place that you want to put your food. Like, that's what cabinets are for, putting your food in the cabinets. So that was a thing. So I was like, this is a problem. And they're like, oh, you know, we're going to fix this before you moving in. And I'm like, okay. So then I turned around, and there was like a stain on the carpet, like a huge stain on the carpet. And I'm like, how are they renting this apartment out? But like, it was a nice size apartment, but it had so many issues. Like, there was a hole in the door that had just like been plastered over, but you could still see the hole. And they didn't replace the door. Like, they didn't do anything. And they already had my deposit. They already had my my everything. I called them. Like, I called them straight away, and I'm like, hey, you know, because I wasn't supposed to move in for another 2 weeks after, like I think it was another week after I seen that. So I'm like, hey, are you guys gonna, like, is this gonna be ready before I move in? I don't want the cleaners and people in the house while I'm trying to move in. And she's like, now mind you, at this point they have the money. They have the money. And she's like, what do you mean is it gonna be fixed? I'm like, the cabinets, are the cabinets gonna be fixed, and the carpet? And she's like, oh no, this is a as-is apartment. I said, what? It's a what? An as-is apartment? No, that is not what we agreed on when we did the walkthrough. Before I signed my lease, I was told that this stuff would be fixed. And she's like, well, no, let me call you back. Okay, so another day goes past. I don't hear from her. So then I call her and I'm like, hey, just calling to check in. Is everything being fixed and cleaned? And she's like, oh, so it turns out that this is a maintenance, that it's up to maintenance what they clean and what they fix. If they don't feel like it needs to be fixed, they won't fix it. First off, that is not right, and that is not okay. Yo, it was a real shady place. The whole thing, like, I know the owner of the complex because I know her. But anyway, so I was like, okay, you know what? Well, let me speak to da-da-da. They knew that I knew her too. So I'm like, let me speak to da-da-da because this is not okay. We need to get this fixed. So she's like, well, she's not here right now. Let me call you back. Okay. The next day. Now this is like, it was just not even meant to be. It was not meant to be, y'all, I tell you. So it was a 2-bedroom and it had washer and dryer hookup. So it was like, that part was great, but the apartment was straight trash. So I call back the next day and I'm like, hey, y'all didn't call me back. Like, what's going on? So finally she tried to scare me. Like, at this point, I don't even want the apartment. I'm mad. They got my money. They already got a portion that's non-refundable. And I'm just like, up to here. And so I don't even want the apartment at this point. But I'm like, hey, like, what's going on? Nobody's calling me. I need to know what's going on. So she's like, look, this is an as-is apartment. You can either move in or you can come get your money. We don't mind if you come get your money. Like, at this point, she has an attitude because I'm asking them to fix something that should be fixed in the apartment complex. So I was like, oh, thank you. I would like to come get my money. When can I do that? So she's like, well, you can come get your money tomorrow or whatever. So I'm like, great. So I go to, like, this is after I signed the lease and everything, y'all. Like, this is how bad the apartment was. So I go back up there to get my money and I'm like, and I would like a copy of the lease that is being shredded. Like, ain't no, I don't want no, she said, he said nothing. So not only did they give me back my money and my deposit, but they gave me back the non-refundable portion. That's when you know you're wrong. Like, it's non-refundable. And they gave it back, like, everything. I was like, whew, I'm so glad that I didn't get that apartment, y'all. It was straight trash. So then the next apartment was I ended up getting, and it was really nice. It was in my budget. And then so I went down there to, like, sign the lease and talk about all that stuff. And then she's like, okay, so this and this, and she started adding up extra fees and stuff, and it was like $150 over what the rent was supposed to be. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, oh yeah, we have like community electricity for the building. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, not even included in the rent. Like, they want me to pay for the electricity outside. Like, I'm sure that some of the electricity, I mean, my rent goes toward that, but no, this is on top of the rent. I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm not signing nothing. No, thank you. So I ended up not doing that. And then there was another one that fell through, and I was just like, at that point, I was like, you know what? Forget it. Just forget it. I guess I'm just meant to stay here because nothing is working out for me at all. So fast forward like a month after all the drama with these apartments, and I was just like, you know what? Like, whatever is meant to be is meant to be, and I'm not gonna worry about it. So like a month goes by, and at this point I still have the cats because I didn't have anywhere. Like, I still have the cats. So a month goes by and my hot water tank in my apartment busted and it flooded the apartment. And I needed the maintenance people to come over, but I had the cats. So I had to pack up the cats, pack up all of the cats' stuff, everything. I took it to my mom's house. Thankfully, she didn't live too far away. But she kept them for me for a bit. And then they came to clean the apartment, and they're like, well, turn off the water. Like, I didn't know how to turn off the water because I don't know that stuff. So they ended up coming to turn off the water or whatever. And let me tell you, like, this is the stuff that I deal with my apartment people. So that was before I went to work. Like, I woke up one morning, water everywhere, spewing out of the hot water tank because it was so old. And I called my maintenance guy, and our maintenance guy lives, well, my old maintenance guy, because I don't live there anymore, but he lives an hour away. An hour away. So I call his phone. He doesn't answer. On his answer machine, it's like, hey, don't call me before 9 o'clock and don't call me after 4:30. Like, that's it. I won't answer my phone at all. You need to call the main office. They're in the main office. I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy. Okay. So I called the main office, who calls the maintenance guy. Duh. So he doesn't even call me. No, he won't call me. He won't pick up his phone. He texts me, and he's like, so unprofessional. He texts me. He's like, hey, I'll be there in a half hour. Can you turn off the water? I'm like, no, I don't know how to turn off the water, and I have to be at work. So he's like, okay. So I go to work, because it wasn't no sense me sitting in a flooded house and there was nothing I could do. So I go to work, and I get a text message from a strange number. I don't know the number. I don't know the guy. He's like, hey, this is so-and-so. Let's call him Alex. He's like, hey, this is Alex. I'm a friend of the maintenance man. He wants me to help. Can you come let me in your apartment? First of all, I don't know you. I don't know who actually sent you, because the maintenance guy, like, he won't. Okay, yeah, so I don't know if the maintenance guy actually sent you, because he won't call me or anything. So I called the maintenance guy. I leave a message like, hey, did you send somebody to my apartment? But I'm like, you know, either way, I'm not leaving work to let some strange man into my house, like, at all, period. That's not happening. So I have a camera, like, set up in my house at all times. Like, even here I have a camera, just because, like, I keep an eye on my cats, and if anybody's in my apartment that shouldn't be in my apartment, we're gonna have a problem. So hold on. Yeah, so I watch these people. So pretty much they mop up, they changed the hot water tank. They put a new one in there, which was a problem because my old one was a smaller one, and they ended up putting a bigger one in there. So they took all the shelves out of the closet that was, the hot water tank was like in the pantry closet. So they take the shelves out of the closet, and I had all my pots and pans in that closet because I didn't have like a lot of storage space. That's the only place I could put them. And they set all this stuff all over my sinks and counter, and they took the shelves with them. So like, they didn't put them back because there was no room in the closet, but they took the shelves with them. So I get back home. There are pots and pans everywhere. No shelves in my closet. And the carpet is sopping wet. Like, you see that this apartment is flooded and you don't think that it's a good idea to clean the carpet. So I call the maintenance lady. I call the main office, and I'm like, hey, my carpet is really wet and it's starting to mildew. Like, you can already smell it in the house. She's like, well, they said they cleaned it up. And I'm like, I'm telling you that I'm standing on it right now and it's not. So she's like, okay, I'll call you back. So she calls them. They come back. I go back to work because I had gone home on my lunch break. I'm sorry. So I gone home on my lunch break, and I didn't even touch anything. I was just like done with it. So I go back to work. I come back. So they come back. They clean, like, they don't clean the carpet actually. They suck up the water, most of the water, and then they put a big blower fan in my house, and they're like, you just need to leave this here for 48 hours. So now I get back home from work. There's a big blower fan, not only taking up electricity because it's plugged up inside my house, but it's so loud. It's like an industrial blower fan. And somehow I'm supposed to like sleep with this on at night. I have a very tiny apartment. I had a very tiny apartment. I'm like, no. So I had to turn it off and then turn it back on when I went to work. And it was just, the whole thing was a mess. And I'm like, this carpet, I've been there for 5 years. The carpet was there before I got there. The carpet should have been replaced, which is what I told the maintenance. Which is what I told the lady at the thing. And she's like, no, well, the carpet's still good. It got cleaned. And I'm like, I literally watched them, but you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So I started applying for apartments again, like, because clearly this is not meant to be. Like, I'm not meant to be there. So I started applying for apartments again. And I told her because I was leaving, and she's like, oh, did they fix your carpet? Is everything fine? I'm like, don't worry about the carpet. Like, now you want to know if they fixed the carpet. Don't worry about the carpet. Don't worry about the apartment. You can have it all back. So I applied for this apartment again, which is the apartment I already applied for twice. I applied for this apartment again, and I wrote a letter or whatever. And then like a couple weeks go by, I'm still at my old place. I don't hear anything from this place. And then I was like done with the apartments again, like only after 2 weeks, y'all. It was apartment hunting is stressful because I wanted to stay in my neighborhood. Like, I love this neighborhood. I love everything that's around it. I really adore it. So I wanted to stay in my neighborhood, but the apartments in this neighborhood can get so expensive. So the fact that I found this apartment and it was like in my budget and it was just, everything was great. So I wrote a letter to the apartment complex and I don't hear back for about like 2 weeks or whatever. At that point, I was just giving up again because I'm like, okay, you know, the letter is like, the most they can say is no. That's my thing. The most they can say is no. And so at that point, I was just like, I was feeling like I wasn't supposed to be at my old apartment. Like, I just felt like I wasn't supposed to be there anymore. It had run its course and everything. So I was just like, look, after I wrote the letter, I prayed to God and I was just like, please let me get this apartment and give me the means to pay for it. That was the thing, the means to pay for it, because when I did my budget, it was like I would be able to afford the apartment, but I wanted to be comfortable. So I was like, the means to pay for it. And so after that, I would go to the apartment. So this was 2 weeks after I sent the letter. I started going to the apartment complex after work. Like, I'd come here, I'd drive around the apartment complex. I sit in the complex for a while, like I'm just coming home from work. I think they thought I was creepy. Like, at that point, I was done looking, but I really wanted to get out of my apartment. So I would come here every single day. I did that for like a week, y'all. Just sit in the parking lot, look around, like see myself coming home from work here. And then yeah, and I would just like drive all around. And so finally, after that 3rd week, like me going back and forth, I just like let it go out of my mind or whatever. I don't even know what I was doing. Actually, I was at work. Yeah, I was at work, and they called me and it's like, hey, we have your application on file. We have something available. Do you want it? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, do you still want it? I'm like, yes, I do still want it. And it's like, okay, well, it's gonna take about a month because they had renovated this whole building, but some of the apartments weren't renovated yet. And so they're like, yeah, we have to put in all new appliances, new cabinets, new carpets, new paint job. Everything's gonna be brand new. So it's gonna, you know, it's gonna take a while. And I was like, that is completely fine. Don't worry about it. If you wanna hold the apartment, you're gonna have to put down a deposit. And I was like, yes, like I just happened to have the deposit money like in my bank account. I sent it to him the next day. It was all like, it was really honestly meant to be, y'all. It was meant to be. So like, I even got a brand new toilet, like stickers and tape, everything still on it. This is a brand new apartment, so I was so happy. So after that, I put my down payment down, and you know, I let the apartment go because I'm like, okay, this is my apartment, you know, like I was happy. I forgot about everything. And then a promotion for a new job came up at my current job, y'all. So when I say the means to pay for it, y'all, I'm not even lying. If y'all want to hear about how God gave me a promotion, which is actually still crazy, tune in to the next video, y'all. Like, he just out here working miracles all over the place. Anyway, if you guys like this video, like this little story time kind of thing, please like, subscribe, share. I will see you guys in another video. Bye.